Hey, there it is. It says very bad connection, and I'm not sure why. But anyway, hey, what is going on, you guys? Welcome to Draw It 2. My name's Ramney, and this is a live stream review of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which I watched. I saw it on Thursday night, and I've been meaning to do a review of it, but I had videos planned, and I wasn't able to. So today, Sunday, a couple days later, I had a couple of days to think about what to say, and I never wrote anything down. But I had a couple of days to internalize it, and yeah, so let's get started with the review. I got a couple of people coming in now. What's going on, you guys? I apologize for the really bad connection. Apparently, it's bad connection, and I really don't know why. It happens a lot with my live streams. It's got a bad connection in the beginning. So here are a couple of shout outs. Legendary Kid 100, Aryav Desai, Legendary Gamer Estelle Murphy, Numan Yilmaz, Chinua Payne, Deadpool Clone. What's going on, you guys? Captain Nerd. What is going on? So, as with usual, I'm going to skip over a lot of the requests. So if you guys ask me for requests on the chat, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to ignore that because I want to get straight to the point here. This is a Guardians of the Galaxy review. Okay, so let's talk about it. Oh, before we actually get started, let's talk about my schedule. So a lot of people were asking what my live streaming schedule is, and here it is. If I do like a trailer review, I just go ahead and do it without telling anybody. If I watched a movie, I'll probably send you guys like a little message on Instagram, and I'll send you guys a message or a little message somewhere that I'm going to do this. But if I do like a bigger live stream, like an hour-long live stream, I usually give you guys an Instagram post letting you know. So that's what that is. That is my live stream schedule. There's a couple more people coming in now. Hey, Landon, Gail, Solace, Flippy Ken, Liam Edwards, The Flash, Liam. All right. So like I said, I'm going to skip over a lot of the tutorial requests. So if you guys didn't catch that, so let's get started, you guys. Was it good? Yes, it was good. It was definitely good, and you guys should watch it if you haven't already. Let me know in the chat if you guys have seen it already. Landon French asked, was Guardians 1 or 2 better? I would say Guardians 1 is better than this one, but not by much. And I think the reason is because in Guardians 1, you had no idea what to expect, so everything was a surprise. But with Guardians 2, you already know the characters, you kind of know what to expect from James Gunn already. So the surprise is gone, and yeah, the surprise is gone, so there's no more of that. So, but what I loved about the first one because it was such a smash. Like I had no idea what to expect. So before we get started, you guys, don't spoil anything because I'm not. This is a non-spoiler review. Don't spoil anything in the comments, or else you will get blocked. I had to do that the last time, like the Fast and Furious movie. I had to block somebody from that one because, oh, and looks like I have a couple of people that I'm going to block. I just told you guys not to do it, and then somebody does it. All right, so let's get started. What's good? Let me tell you guys what's good. I have a list here. Number one, the visuals, okay? Like, this movie is pretty. You guys should definitely go see it in 3D if you haven't seen it yet. Go pay the extra couple of dollars for the 3D because, like, the first scene alone, there's, like, so much happening. There is, like, you definitely need to see that in 3D because it just pops out. And, yes, it does. I'm not going to say what, but it does involve Baby Groot, like the first scene, and you should definitely watch that in 3D. There's so much. There's so much, and so the visuals so much more colorful than. You know how there's a lot of people saying that the MCU movies are so dull and gray. Like if you watch Captain America: Civil War, for example, it's just gray and bland looking. It's not colorful. It doesn't pop out like a comic book does. But this one kind of answers that, and I think it's because I was reading somewhere that they used a brand new camera for it, which is the Red Weapon something. That is a camera that takes in a lot of color, and you could definitely tell everything is so much brighter. Once they go to Ego's planet, Ego is Star-Lord's dad, everything is just so colorful, and it's amazing to see, and I love it. It totally does not feel like Earth, you know? So that's the cool part. I'm going to answer a couple of your chat comments a little bit later on, but let me speak, I guess. Let me speak my opinion first. So that's one thing that was really good was the visuals. Everything was like really good, like really pretty to look at. It was just amazing. Everything, just little details too. And like if you look at the CGI, the Groot was flawless. Like I didn't notice any like CGI. Like I couldn't tell. Rocket as well. I couldn't tell that he was CGI. So those are really good. Like that's when if you can't tell that something is CGI, then the CGI is spot on. And I couldn't really tell with this one. The story, that's the second thing that I really liked. Sorry, catching my breath because I'm talking fast because I'm really excited about this movie. Hey, what's up, guys? The story has heart, and the first movie, like you really got to know and you really got to like the characters. Okay, they're like from the get-go, these 5 characters that you get introduced to, plus a whole bunch of other like side characters like Yondu. You get to know them really well in the first movie, and then in the second movie, you get to know them even more. And if you feel like that's too many characters already, they add in, a little story about Nebula, and they add in a story about Yondu, and they add in a story of who else? Like even Kraglin has a little bit of story. Kraglin is Yondu's sidekick guy, who's he's like that skinny guy that was on Yondu's side in the first movie. He's in this. All of them have a story arc, and then Ego. You introduce Ego, and then you introduce the Sovereign, and there's so many characters already. And then they introduce Mantis. There's so many characters, and you think, oh my goodness, there's way too many characters in this movie. But then James Gunn does this brilliant thing where he gives a little story arc for each one of them, and I don't know how he does it. He does a really good balance of it. This story is in Guardians 2. The story is about, of course, it's about Star-Lord and getting to meet his dad. Like everybody knows that, right? He meets Ego, his dad, and he tries to figure out that relationship. But that's not the entire story, because there's more storylines to it. You get to know a little bit more about Yondu, and to me, Yondu is what this is going to my third point now. My third point is the characters are well written and they are well fleshed out. Not so much the bad guy. Like it still has the same problems as with other Marvel movies, in that the bad guy kind of takes a back seat and they focus a lot on the good guys. And the comic book kid says post credits. Don't spoil anything. I'm not saying anything about the post credit scenes. I'll tell you what they are or how many there are, but don't spoil anything, like I said, or else you will get blocked. Okay. So anyway, like I said, the characters are really good, well written, and Yondu. like I was saying, Yondu is the guy that he takes, like he's the, you don't realize he's a spotlight. Like they spotlight Yondu in this movie. Like this is a movie about Guardians of the Galaxy, but then Yondu has a story arc in this, and by the end of it, he becomes I guess an official member of Guardians of the Galaxy, and yeah, Yondu is a highlight for me for this one. Random thing asked, DC versus Marvel? Both. Why not both? There's no competition. There's both, right? So that's the end of that. Yeah, so Yondu is a scene stealer. I like Yondu's story arc. I also like Star-Lord's story arc, but I feel like I like Yondu's a lot better. Drax, you find out a little bit more about Drax's story when he talks to Mantis. Mantis and Drax, they have a really funny relationship. The way that the bond that they formed is hilarious. So there's that. Yeah, Mantis is a good addition to the Guardians. I think she's a quirky character that moves, like, it works really well with the others. Mantis is good, and then Nebula and Gamora. You don't even like. I didn't expect to like Nebula because she was such a nasty character in the first movie, but in this movie you feel so sorry for her, and I like that. Like, I really liked Nebula and Gamora, even though they didn't really take the spotlight in this one. They do have a little bit of a story arc that I'm looking forward to seeing in the future. And who knows, like, I don't know if Nebula or Gamora, or I don't know if Nebula is going to be part of the Guardians in Infinity War. That would be awesome to see. Groot, not much of a story, but because Groot is a different character than he was in the first movie, it adds a different dynamic, you know? Groot here essentially is baby Groot, so everybody takes care of him like you would take care of a baby, and it's so just thinking of like the first scene is hilarious, and then there's like another bit in the middle where Groot just ends out. He's just the funniest little character, so I love that. And Rocket in this one, he doesn't really have a story arc, but you do find out a little bit more about his personality and why he's such a rude character, and I like that. That's pretty cool. Okay, and then, all right, there are a couple of people that are on the verge of spoiling things, and I really don't want to have to police you guys in the chat, but yeah, please don't spoil anything, and just let me know what you guys thought of it. Did I go offline, you guys? Okay, I just took it off of the chat. Sorry. Game Sharker 21, like I said, I am not going to answer any of those comments. So there you go. I'm sorry, you guys. Some people thought that I was offline. Now look, 3D. I had to take it off of my little thing here. Yes. Oh, ego. I'll get into ego a little bit later on. Another thing that I really liked were the themes. The theme of family. I feel like, okay, like Fast and Furious 8, The Fate of the Furious, and then there's this. These are two different stories about family, and I find that this one hits closer to home than Fast and the Furious. I like this story about being a family a lot better than The Fate of the Furious. So they do have a theme about family here, you know, with Gamora and Nebula being sisters, and then Star-Lord meeting his dad, and then Star-Lord looking for a father figure, and then all of the Guardians being a family together, and like Rocket being alone, being the only being in the universe of his kind. That's kind of really, really sad. So a lot of that, and like taking care of baby Groot. So all of that combined together to sort of give you that theme of family, and I really liked the way that they did it. It just shows a lot of heart, and you really like these characters, even though they're not nice people to each other. And so, like, Rocket's not a nice person. Star-Lord's a bit of a, I don't want to say, Drax is really rude. Gamora's, like, they're all murderers. They all kill people in this movie, but then you still love them as a family. So that's kind of weird. And so that's that. Fatherhood and family are the two main themes, and I really like that because it hits close to home for you guys. And also the music is good. The music is a lot more poppy. Like I actually have been listening to the music in the car, and my daughter's been listening with me, and we both love the movie. So the music is good. You guys will definitely like it. And I like that, unlike the first movie, the music kind of plays into the themes of this movie. Like there's a couple of songs that they highlight in this movie. So there's that. So there's a couple of people who ask, who is my favorite character? Who was my favorite character in Guardians of the Galaxy? In this movie, my favorite is Yondu. Not sure if like that, if that's your question, but yeah, my favorite character in this movie is definitely Yondu. Yeah, he definitely steals the scenes. So those are the good. There's a couple of bad stuff. It's not a perfect movie. Like I said, the first Guardians is better than this one, I would say, in my opinion. Yeah, the blue guy. Number one, there's a couple of like storylines. There's a couple of story arcs that are leading nowhere. They lead nowhere. So there's a couple of, I feel like there's some storylines that they could omit, and they don't have to. They didn't have to include it in this, but they did. I don't want to spoil it. Maybe I'll do it in the discussion if I end up doing the discussion post. But yeah, there's a couple of things story arcs that you could skip it and the story would still be pretty good. I felt like it was a little too long. This is a movie that is very comic booky, in that a lot of people are going to get turned off because they don't know the Guardians comic books. There's a couple of characters that have been introduced that if you guys didn't read the original Guardians of the Galaxy comic books, you'd be like, who the heck are these people? So like the character of Sylvester Stallone, for example. If you didn't know the original Guardians, or if you don't know the comic book Guardians, you'd be like, I don't know, and I don't care about these guys. Like if I went with a group of my friends who didn't know the comic books, they'd be hitting me in the shoulder, and they'd be like, who is he? Like, why do I care? So that's that. So there's a couple of stuff there that are really good for comic book fans, but if you are a non-comic book fan, you're just not going to enjoy that very much, and you're like, I don't care. It's just a waste of my time. Let's move on. Right? Yeah, exactly. So a couple of you agree in the chat, right? So there's that. But if you are a comic book fan, those are really amazing fan services. I feel like this movie rewards you for knowing and for being a fan of Guardians of the Galaxy, and for knowing the history. And if you know the history, like, it rewards you because those are the characters and you're familiar with those characters. So there's that. Yeah. I'll get to you guys at, I'm getting through, there's a lot of comments, a lot of questions in the chat. I'll answer those shortly, but let me finish what I'm trying to say here. And again, like I said, another thing is it doesn't have the same impact as the first Guardians of the Galaxy, because the first Guardians surprised you with its story and how funny it was and its heart. So this one, you already know what to expect, so it doesn't surprise you. The other thing is that I felt like the jokes here, sometimes they weren't as funny as the first movie. A lot of times they sort of miss, and a lot of times they would put a joke in the middle of a dramatic scene, and it just sort of takes you away from that dramatic scene. You know, you're like, oh, I was enjoying that moment, but then you had to put a joke in there, and then it's not funny. It just like, it's not funny anymore. You know, like, yeah, the emotional scenes, and yeah, I felt like some of the jokes kind of cut into those emotional scenes and didn't sink those emotional scenes in as much. And sometimes a lot of them, a lot of the jokes dragged. I'm like, oh really, you're still going through this joke? Like, you could finish this joke now, come on. One example of that is well, I won't say it. No, I'm not going to say it. But it's a scene in the trailers. And I'll talk to you about that later on when I do the discussion, if I get a chance to do the discussion. So anyway, scrolling up back to the chat. Did I like The Sovereign? Question by Aryev. No. Didn't like The Sovereign. They were a waste of time. Devanshu asked, what do you think about the story of Yondu? Really liked it. But I'm not criticizing because I'm not criticizing for the sake of criticizing. I love this movie, so don't get me wrong, you guys. Deadpool Clone says, I was pretty confused when Sly appeared. That's right. If you didn't know the character of Sly Stallone, who plays Takar, if you don't know who he is and his relationship with Yondu, you're like, I don't care. Estelle Murphy asked, why did they change the costumes? I'm not sure who you're referring to. Do I know Comic Historian? Yes, I do. I follow Comic Historian. Skyzy says, Future Flash is Savitar. That's right. But I didn't see him in this movie. What would you rate it out of 10 stars? I would give this about an 8.5. And I definitely recommend it. Buy it on Blu-ray. It's worth it. And it's a good standalone movie. Like, it doesn't really set up the what do you call it, Infinity War or anything. It sets up for Guardians 3, which I'm looking forward to. So 8.5. Did I like the Stan Lee cameos? That's another thing that if you're not familiar with the comics, you're like, what is this about? You know, I like the Stan Lee cameo because I know what he's trying to play. Anyway, so that's that, you guys. Any more questions? I'm gonna cut this off almost soon. All right, another way to get banned, you guys, is if you say bad words in the chat. So I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to ban another person. Apologize if it says live stream offline. You might be able to catch this in the rerun. It will get uploaded. So 8.5. That's my ratings. The post-credit scenes. Let's talk about that. Post-credit scenes are definitely cool. There's 5 of them. So be sure to stay tuned. There are five things you need to watch out for. And yeah, there's a couple of post-credit scenes that you will be confused. Like I said, if you don't know the comic book, you're like, who are these characters? I have no idea. So just be aware of that. But yeah. All right, so I think that's that. Was Groot big at the end? It depends. Not really. Not in the end of the actual movie. He doesn't grow or anything, because this is just the span of a couple of days. There's one scene that I found so hilarious because it reminded me of a cartoon. And that's when they do a this isn't a spoiler, I don't think, but when they do like a warp speed jump, like watch out for that, because I don't know why that made me laugh so much. All right, so a couple of announcements before I go. Like I said, I'm going to take the next week off. I'll probably do a little announcement video just telling people that I'm going to take this week off and I won't be uploading any videos, just so that I can work on things like my Patreon. I'll be working on my art store, because I haven't put anything up on my art store. I just got really busy and I've been meaning to put stuff up there. So some stuff that's going to help me Oh, sorry about that, you guys. I got a phone call. I'm on my phone. So anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Stay tuned for more so you can learn to draw it too. Take care, you guys. Sorry for the really horrible reception this time around, but I'll try to fix it for next time. I have no idea. So thank you guys, and stay tuned for a video tomorrow about making announcements, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye.